Welcome to the Blooming League of Original Podcasts.
Welcome everyone to episode 3 of Thrash and Treasure podcast, where the metal world and the musical world collide head on in the guise of me, Gareth, and that man over there, Aaron. How are you, Aaron?
G'day, how's it going?
Going great over here. How is the world? Because you're the world of metal and I'm the world of musical. How's the world of metal this week?
I am slowly dying inside.
I think on that, should we start with you? I think we should start with you.
Start with the Broadway? Yeah. Okay, we'll start with metal. I know you're eager to hear my review.
No, I'm not. Because I don't care what you think.
Well, fuck you too.
I think we started with metal last week, so we'll go to Broadway this week. And we're not even just going to Broadway, we're going to Broadway via Canada. As usual, I had no idea about this show.
Nope.
Never heard of it before. It wasn't until I didn't even look into it. I did eventually, but I just listened to it and I thought, just going to put it on and off we go. And the show is called Come From Away.
Yep, just about some average islanders in Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
An average day.
It just, this is the first thing, because I've always thought it was Newfoundland.
Of course you did.
And apparently I've been saying it wrong, because when you're from Newfoundland, it's Newfoundland, which is up there in a little island. Welcome to the Rock, off the coast of Canada. And I put this on, and Welcome to the Rock was the first song, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of musical, and that's quite catchy, and I liked that. And then,
good.
And then it began, and this is, I'm just going to put it right out there right now. This is one of those musicals where I could see everything. It was the songs are such that it's very visual. Having said that, there is a fair bit of dialogue on the album. So it's not just song, no dialogue. There is a fair bit of spoken dialogue in between the songs and that sort of thing. And I'm thinking, okay, what's the song about? Newfoundland at an airport, and there's a bunch of planes coming in. I'm going, okay, this sounds kind of cool.
Oh my God, did you really?
I had no idea what this was about. I put it on my phone, I put my headphones in, and I went for a walk, which is kind of what I do.
Yep.
And I'm walking in the sunshine, and I'm listening to all these lovely songs. And
the penny dropped.
It did. Yeah, the penny did drop.
The penny dropped.
The penny dropped. And this musical is about 9/11. And it was making me laugh at the start because it's actually quite funny. In the middle of a laugh, then they drop something really heavy on you and then you feel quite sad.
You suddenly realize, oh shit, what am I listening to?
What am I listening to?
I had that moment too. Though I didn't, when the planes landed, I wasn't thinking, oh cool. I was thinking, oh God, what's happening?
Well, they were landing, not crashing, so I was okay with that. It was a divert. They got diverted.
No, I wasn't. This is all too familiar for me. I mean, you're on the other side of the country, so it was maybe 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night for you. But on this side, the rest of us were in bed, or everyone was in bed, but I was 16 and I was out of school by that point because I was a bit of a punk, a bit of a delinquent. So I was on the computer and the TV was on in the background, and I remember it switched over to the news.
Right.
So I sat there by myself at 16 years old, watching that unfold.
Oh.
Like I even then ran down, woke my mum up and said, shit, something's going on. There's smoke coming out of a building in New York. And as we sat down, the second plane went in and we sat there all night watching that. And it was just, I don't need to go into it again, but my eyes were very much open then. Things like that beforehand were documentaries. They were third world countries. They didn't happen in our countries. There goes my world, my innocence and stuff. So personally, I've always had a bit of a connection. Well, not really a connection, but always felt my heart's always been with 9/11 and what happened, because I watched it as soon as it switched over and I watched it all night. And so as soon as the planes landed on this album, I had some inkling that, something's going on here. It was all too familiar. And as soon as they said 9 a.m. Tuesday, September 11, 2001, my body washed over. The tears started and they did not stop until the very end. And I left the CD or the album played through again, and I just cried through it again for a second time. And I just thought, wow, holy shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll let you continue. Just very, very different reactions there. when those planes landed from, oh, cool, what's going on? It's a party.
No, but the penny, what it was. Yeah. How come there's all these planes coming to Gander? Yeah, the penny did drop. And I thought, oh, okay. And there's because there's a lot of quite funny songs in here, and there's some funny dialogue.
Yeah, there is.
There's a piece really early on, which is, it's not really unintentionally funny, but it's so much funnier post-pandemic or middle of a pandemic, which is they're asking for food and can we have some bedding down here and can someone take some toilet paper to the Lions Club? And then further on, there's like, please, we don't need any more toilet paper. And that just absolutely made me crack up because I'm thinking, here's this massive disaster on 9/11 and they go straight to toilet paper. Yeah, we get a global pandemic and everyone all of a sudden goes, do we need food? Do we need petrol? Do I need a gun? No, I need toilet paper. So it's, that made me laugh harder than it probably should have.
I remember this is a town of 7,000 people.
Mm.
And they had 38 planes land, which is about 7,000 people.
Yeah.
So the town literally doubled
Yeah.
on that day overnight. But anyways, I'll let you.
Yeah, and it's a true story.
Yeah, and it's a true story. Like, this actually happened. So you could read about all these people in the musical, which I'm sure you fell down that rabbit hole.
So many rabbit holes.
I knew you would. And you said to me last week, we'll make next week's a short episode. And I thought, no, I've given him the rabbit hole.
There's a rabbit. There is, even without going down the rabbit hole, it tells such an amazing, because it's an amazing story and it's a true story of this little, not even a little airport. Now, the reason they chose the airport, and I didn't know any of this. I knew planes got diverted, but I didn't realize a whole ton of planes got diverted to Gander, Newfoundland, because it used to be a pre-jet aeroplane. This was where long-haul flight planes landed to refuel so that they could, get to Europe and that sort of thing. So it's
transatlantic.
There you go, transatlantic.
So all the big names stopped there, like Elvis, the Queen.
All the big names. There was Sinatra and Muhammad Ali and all these guys, which is quite amazing that there's this tiny little town, but it's still got this airport that could land a 747 and something like that, which is pretty amazing. And it's an incredible story, and there's parts in it that's really, really sad, and there's songs in it that are sad, and I didn't burst into tears, but there was one part where I had the odd lump in the throat. Yeah. And there's, people calling home and saying they're okay. And there's a mother looking for her son who's a first responder. And
and she's real. All those people are real.
Yeah, I know.
And if they're not directly real, if their story isn't directly told on stage, they're an amalgamation. Like there's a few people in one or something. There's a cast of 12 people playing something like 70 characters across the whole show. Hannah, so it's a spoiler alert, but her son was a real firefighter in New York. Yeah, so it is really sad. It's heartbreaking hearing her through that whole show singing that she's stuck here and she should be in New York looking for him in the rubble. And, to think that out of all sorts of tragedies and all that's happened in the world, they could have just told a direct story, a direct retelling of 9/11, but they didn't. They found something that happened in the world that, quite frankly, is just as, if not more relevant to the world today than it was 20 years ago when you look at what we're in today. So it's part of why I picked it, but also to trick you into liking a musical where they sing about needing toilet paper and tampons and stuff like that. Because I know you don't like story-driven songs.
And I was listening to this and that was going through my head. And I thought last week I just turned around to Aaron and said, this damn thing, this musical is everything I hate about musicals. It's all story driven and I really don't. And I'm sitting there going,
shouldn't have said it. You should not have said it, or I wouldn't have chosen Come From Away this week.
I'll set myself up.
You set yourself right up.
I set myself up to fail. So
pew pew. And
it really is. It's story driven. It's done such a way. There's the sad stories, and then there's a lot of fun as well. Of the they throw in, and I think one of the reasons I probably liked it was there's a fair bit of folky squeeze box music going on, and I kind of like that.
Very toe tapping, yeah.
There's like the heave away when they're in the bar and everyone's kind of just letting their hair down and relaxing and go, we just got to let the stress and release and that sort of thing. Even
everyone's getting blind drunk basically and skinny dipping.
They are.
Yeah.
They're getting smashed and kissing the cod.
Pushing fish.
which is hilarious.
That's a tradition in Newfoundland. It's called a screech, and you've got to have a shot of rum. Some terrible drink that. It's called screech, and then you kiss a cod, and you do that while wearing a fisherman's slick and hat.
Mm. And then you become an honorary Newfoundlander.
Yes, and like now everyone wants to go to Newfoundland just to do that.
I was thinking the same thing.
It does make you want to go there, doesn't it? It makes you want to be part of the fun. It's just the energy in the song.
I want to go there, kiss a cod, wearing a raincoat.
Sure, it's not like that in real life.
Like you said, they've taken the story of 9/11. Tell me you're going to make a Broadway musical about 9/11, and you go, well,
Godfathers.
Okay, either you're an asshole, or you've
that's it.
It's going to bomb.
Pun not intended.
Because you just can't make something good out of that. But like you said, they found this story from another part of the world directly connected, and they made this amazing musical. It really flows so well, and I was gripped.
It's only one act too, so it does flow really, really well.
Yeah.
I saw it in Melbourne last year. Mum actually bought tickets for 9/11 because she thought if there's any night to go, we'll go that night, which may be a little bit crass. But she thought there might be speeches or something. And considering we had sat there all night together watching it, but we should have gone the next night because all these people were taken in on the 12th of September. They'd actually spent, so a lot of them spent 28 hours on the planes, stuck on the tarmac. All these planes lined up. So they didn't know where to put them. So they celebrate the anniversary on the 12th. Obviously, and they had them all on the bus, and there was a whole language barrier with a lot of them. And there's a beautiful moment in the show where the man has a Bible in his hand and they don't understand each other. And the driver says, "Show me your Bible." And he points out a passage and they realize they speak the same language. I mean, not literally. They're able to meet on that level. Obviously, things deteriorate and, stress and stuff like that in that time. And there's a bit of infighting. So basically, they all get drunk.
They don't shy away. There's a couple of Muslims on the planes, and they do talk about one specifically, and I was a bit surprised and really impressed on how they dealt with that. Yeah. And it wasn't comfortable.
And it shouldn't be.
No, it shouldn't. But they did it it was really tastefully done.
Getting across a message is not comfortable.
No. And and I can't remember the character's name, and she says, I'm a Muslim too, and I was born in North Carolina. It wasn't North Carolina, but, somewhere like that. And what do you mean I'm not American? I was born here. So they didn't lay it on heavy, but it was there, and they kind of dropped it and went, there it is. You've got to kind of deal with this stuff too. I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah, and that build-up of tension leads the locals to say, let's get everyone to the pub.
Let's go to the pub and get hammered. Got to get hammered.
Obviously, not everyone has a good time there.
No. And there's so many great characters.
And they're real people too. So
yeah, I mean, Kevin and Kevin, that's just made me laugh out loud when you said, I'm Kevin and that's my boyfriend Kevin. And it was kind of cute for a while. And that just made me crack up. I was like, that's fantastic.
That's why I'd never date an Aaron. And it's a stupid fucking name. What were my parents thinking? Like they weren't thinking. They literally opened up the baby name book and saw the first name, double A at the top. All right, we'll go with that one. Like there was laziness. Anyways.
That was such a genuinely funny part as well when the guy from Newfoundland and he says, so where are you from? And where are you from? And you're from Texas and you're from England. How does
your marriage work?
How does your marriage? We're not married. Oh, and it's just it's the coolest. He was just being so polite.
And, don't spoil it.
Yeah. No, I know.
No,
I don't want to spoil it for all the people that are going to rush out and listen to it now that they've heard this. So
yeah, go out and see it based on your glowing review. But what blows my mind is like this actually happened. Like there are actually good people in this world.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're all in Newfoundland, but they're there.
They're there. It was the story of the town, and again early on in the piece, and they were saying, how many beds have you got? And we go, okay, we've got 400. Okay, can you fit 600? Sure. Can you fit 700? And they go, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
When? Right, any time. And it was that case of, can you guys do it? And they go, well, yeah, we have to. We've got no choice. We're just going to make it work. And that's what the people did. They just made it work. Like you said, the size of the town doubled overnight.
They didn't get on Twitter and complain.
Let's just have this small mercy that there was no Twitter
Yes.
in 2001, and thankfully there wasn't. There was enough stupid written about 9/11 after the fact that without Twitter,
There was.
we
Yeah.
don't need that. But I'm just going to say I absolutely love this. If I get a chance to see this show, I will go and see this show. And I have never said that about a musical apart from the Book of Mormon, which doesn't count. And I did notice it's not coming to Perth yet, but anything can happen. If I'm in Melbourne or Sydney when it's playing,
Really?
I will I will go and see the show, and I will take anyone who's listening to go and see it.
It's a little show that could. Like, it really is.
Mm.
But those cast members work their asses off. They really do.
Because they're, like you said, there's 12 people and they're playing like 70 characters,
Yep.
and they swap and change so effortlessly.
Yep, all through it.
It's just amazing. Yeah.
And it's just a turntable. Like, it's just a very simple set, which I'm not totally big on. The band's on stage. It's not like Hello Dolly. Like, this is a very small show. It's just
God.
chairs and a turntable. I know I lightly mentioned it last week, but I'm not really a fan of shows that have the band on stage because it takes me out of it, especially when the drummer is hot and I can't stop looking.
I didn't know hot drummers were a thing.
Oh, hell yes. It's the arms, dude. Come on. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Just because you've got skinny, runty arms like me?
Wow, that's not even fucking true. My arms.
That's not true.
That is not
That's
true.
really not true. Anyways, and I'll see it again when it opens in Melbourne, but then I'm done with it.
Okay.
And I also didn't know what it was about when I first listened to it. I actually thought going into it, I thought it was about immigrants in New York, which I thought, okay, it's called Come From Away. So it's probably about a whole bunch of people from around the world that come to New York or whatever. I don't know. So there'll probably be some really interesting music in it or some really interesting characters. So I really had no idea.
Yeah.
And as I say, once those planes started landing, my body started going cold. And they said the September 11 thing, and my hairs all stood on end and the tears came. And I was swept up in it. A really pathetic situation. It really was. And then just anybody who would listen to me, I was like, "You got to listen to this show." But two people did, and they both cried, and that was good. I made two people cry, and that made me feel good. But anyway, so I'm proud of you.
It made me think when I went to New York, we went to Ground Zero, and I didn't really want to go because I didn't want to be that tourist. I don't want to be.
I can get that. Yeah.
But it was, and there was people there taking selfies and all this sort of shit, and I was like, I'm just going to ignore them.
Gross.
But you stand there, and there's this amazing monument, and there's this water falling, and it's designed so that the noise of the water just cuts out all the sound of New York, which is a feat in itself. And there's the names of all the people that lost their lives there, and it's quite an amazing place. And I just had a little quiet moment out of respect and that sort of thing. And this show, listening to that, it kind of brought all that back again. And I've spoken to people in New York when we were around, and they're saying, where have you been? What are you doing? And we said, okay, we didn't go to the museum, but we did go to Ground Zero. And there's a few people that said, look, I've never been there because I was here when it happened. I can't do it. I was working, at the shoe shop down there when it all went to hell. So, but it's actually really quite well done, for what it is, because it could have been fucking Disneyland. Let's face it. It really could have. But it's been done quite well. And this Come From Away is done absolutely brilliantly. And I didn't think I would say that ever. And I think you've unfortunately you've peaked too soon with your musical.
Oh no.
No,
I've got more tricks up my sleeve.
Yeah, I won't be getting sucked in again.
Oh yeah.
Also they got drums and guitar, and I love that. I love the fact that there's a small band, and it's it's more of a modern. It's not all strings and
No, and they also get their moment during the show. They come out during the heave away. The fiddle player comes out and jumps up on a chair.
I love a bit of that.
And the ugly stick. They call them the drunkest people in the room. That's the band, and that doesn't surprise me.
That is pretty much par for the course when you're playing pubs and clubs. So yeah.
And another person so important to this story is Beverly Bass.
Yes.
You can't leave her out.
Well, I didn't want to go through everyone, but yes. She's amazing.
She was the first female jet pilot, I think it was.
See, that in itself, when
Was
they
it jet pilot or airliner?
airline, maybe commercial
airline, yeah.
commercial airline pilot, and she was the first one to have an all-female crew on American Airlines. They put that in there as well, and that was just blowing my mind because I didn't know. Look, I didn't really know this story anyway, but then I didn't know that was a thing as well. That was very, very cool, and she tells the story about how she became and what she overcame to become a captain of a commercial. Really, really cool. Very cool. And that was so well done because it was true as well, but they fit that into the whole story so seamlessly, and it was fantastic.
And especially, working for that airline, those were her cohorts involved in this.
Mm.
Yeah.
And they actually go through that, and it's like, I don't know, and she's saying, I don't know anyone from that airline or from that flight, and they're talking about the plane that hit the Pentagon and that sort of thing. So
there's one line in that song that she sings, "Me in the Sky," that I've been in two minds about since I first heard it, and that's the one thing I love more than anything was used as the bomb.
Yes,
because she's singing about her love of planes, and
that's what was
used. Isn't that such a hard-hitting line? Because
it is.
You want to turn around and say, like, how selfish, it's not about you. But I totally get it because you have so much love and to love your whole life to something, and you stand by that something, and then it gets used by somebody for evil, and she's torn. It's her being torn. We don't need to be torn as audience members, but I still am torn, aren't I?
Yeah.
Is it selfish? Is it not selfish? Yeah, but it really is such a realistic way of looking at it that, And she became someone from this. She made worldwide news for her all-female crew. So she was a pioneer in that respect in the commercial airline field. Not necessarily the adventure airlines. That's Amelia Earhart, wherever she is these days. But
no, they did a hell of a job. All right. Well, I'm giving it 5 out of 5.
Oh, well done. I agree.
Yeah.
It's the only show I've ever stood up for at the end. Only musical I've ever, unless my friends were in it, well, just being dickheads, but the whole audience stood up. A little bit structured.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and so they should have.
The cast sang the shit out of that. They really did. But yes, I'm very proud of you.
Hey.
Yeah, awesome. And now here we go to an ad break. We'll be back in a moment.
Hey there! It's time to get popped on culture, the official Puzzle Hub Pop Quiz podcast, and welcome to game number 5. I'm your new host, Matt Young, and for today's special theme, we're going to test your knowledge on musical groups, including bands, boy bands, girl groups, and vocal ensembles. Play against your friends or the clock and see how you go. Alright, let's get into it, shall we? Game 1. Songs in the key of words. I'm going to give you 3 key words that appear within 8 different songs. Pretty simple. If you guess the song correctly on the first keyword, give yourself 3 points. If you guess it on the second, give yourself 2 points, which of course means give yourself 1 for guessing it on the third and final keyword. So let's see how you go. Ready? First clue. Fantasy. Landslide. Reality. That was Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Second clue. Lights. Carrie. Home. Of course, that's All the Small Things by Blink-182. Next up, Valentino. Crystal. Italian. That's right, it was Manic Monday by the Bangles. I was kissing Valentino by a crystal blue Italian stream. Alrighty, fourth, picked, bunch, glance. I Want You Back by the Jackson 5. How are you going so far? Next up, lady, glitters, buying. A Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Lonely, gazing, window. That one was a little bit hard for me, but that was Waterfalls by TLC. Here's our 7th clue. Walked, smile, Cool. Of course, that was Stop by Spice Girls. And lastly, Honey, Bees, Envy. My Girl by The Temptations. And time's up. How did you go in that round? And be sure to check out our other shows on the Bloop Network, especially Thrash and Treasure, where you'll hear incredible interviews with genuine icons of stage and screen. So until the next game, I've been Matt, you've been Popped on Culture, and I shall see you next time. See ya!
And no, we haven't peaked yet.
I don't know. That surprised me. So there we go.
It was a low blow to go from brain tumors to 9/11. What's next week? AIDS.
And I was sitting there, and what are we getting next? You know, it's like what's the next horrible tragedy that they've turned into a musical that's going to land on my desk?
But isn't that what metal and musicals have in common? That they turn the tragic into the musical.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of tragic,
is this a segue into?
That was a segue into the metal, into Amaranthe. Is that how you pronounce her name?
I think so. I don't know. They're from Sweden. I can't speak Swedish.
Amaranthe's
so.
a plant, mate.
Is it really?
It's a flower.
That's interesting because one of my favorite bands in the 80s is called Crocus, and I thought it was the coolest name ever. And then my mum turned around and go, "You know, that's a flower." She doesn't talk like that, but that's the voice I heard in my head. And I'm like, "Shut up, mum. It's still cool." She goes, "You got a flower on your shirt." Shut up, mum.
Good on you. Yeah, no, it's a plant.
So, okay. Is it like a flesh-eating plant that's got spikes and shit? So it's not a cool. It's not a cool
plant. No, it doesn't eat people. Sorry.
Damn, it's not a
Triffid.
There's name's already been taken.
It's not an Audrey 2.
Audrey 2? Okay. We speak different languages.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh,
it's a Triffid.
Don't go there. I hate that show.
Why do you hate that show?
I hate it. I got dragged to that.
Oh, it's also a girl's name
in the movies. And anyway, I'll save that for another time.
I don't know if you will. Oh, maybe there's not an E on the end. A plant of a chiefly tropical family that includes Love Lies Bleeding. It's banned. Well, it's banned in the US because it's a dye. Right. It gives cherries. It gives what cherries their color? Okay. I'm confused. But anyways, we've learned something today. I knew it was a flower or a plant or something because it had come up when I was doing my research. So, are we ready for my glowing review?
I am braced and I'm ready.
There's no personal attacks this week on you.
For a change.
Okay.
Don't hold back.
I'm not going to. When I first saw the cover of Amaranthe's 6th album, Manifest, I saw the logo for Ark, Survival Evolved, and said, "Oh yay, I love that game." So I fired up the game on the Xbox and forgot to listen to the record. While I was breeding 2 Parasaurolophuses, I remembered the album, so I put on the Spotify, and you can only imagine my disappointment to realize that I have used up my one Blumhouse joke this season upon seeing the 2020 incarnation of the Volturi. Twilight joke alert. So I pressed play and went back to my game. But in that time, my baby parasaur died of starvation, and I was really bummed out because it had a mutated bright red color region, so I bred another egg in my sadness. The music played over the prehistoric images, but I was far too immersed in orchestrating my barnyard of humping dinosaurs. Even my unicorns were horned up. After a while, and about 200 eggs, I noticed it had suddenly turned silent. I had completely absorbed myself in dino albumin, and not the given album. So I put the CD on again and decided to mindlessly fly around on my Pteranodon while I listened. With the first track, Fearless, I was instantly transported from the Crystal Isles map to an 80s workout montage. Is this what you kids call power metal? I could almost see Jean-Claude Van Damme going bicep to bicep with Dolph Lundgren against a gang of unruly criminals in late 80s New York. During the next few tracks, my kitty cat Anya came and sat on my knee, but I wasn't able to fly properly because she started biting my fingers because how dare I not be giving her scratchies and cuddles? Seriously, I don't know how women do it. I just can't get any work done with a pussy in my lap. So I put the controller down and watched my dino bird hover over the swamps. During the next few songs, which could only be described as songs, I was staring at my character ride the dino in midair, stationary, wings flapping wildly to the radio-friendly metal blasting through my speakers. I could hear the influences from all areas, and Elise Ride's voice often reminded me of Delta Goodrem, and this is a compliment. Anyway, eventually the song Beat 1 came on, and then my game crashed while I was mid-air.
Oh, Jesus.
So with a dry mouth, shaky hands, and a streak of panic coursing through my veins, I went back into the game, praying that the last save hadn't worked and I'd respawn in a safe spot. But my prayers went unanswered thanks to the devil music drowning my bedroom. When I respawned not far from the swamps, I almost immediately found my pteranodon, hovering mid-air still, with me on the ground, wingless. By this point, the record had started up again, and I was met with the 80s power ballad Fearless again. So, knowing vaguely where I am on this brand new map, I let the music be my guide and ran. Boy, did I run. As fast as I could, but even then I still died 5 times, which by Ark standards is actually pretty good. And whilst I wholeheartedly blame Amaranthe for leaving me stranded in the swamp, naked, afraid, and weaponless, I did often enjoy the vocals of Elise Ride, but the rest of the band, led by Draco Malfoy, had me eaten by a Spinosaur. Then not long after that, I was chased, cornered, then carelessly consumed by a trio of raptors, only to respawn right next to a giant crocodile, which thankfully decided to stop attacking the giant purple frog in order to attack little old me. I could have respawned back at base, any one of my 4 bases, at any stage after dying, but I was so damn distracted by Elisa's vocals that I just didn't think of that now, did I? Sheesh. Anyways, 5 days later, I still don't have my dinosaur back.
Wow.
2 stars.
I don't think I've ever heard an album review about an Xbox game before.
Oh, okay. Well, that's odd. That's literally the first thing I thought when I saw the album cover. It was Ark. So, all right, I'm going to put on Ark.
Oh, my God. It is not. It's about how shit you are at video
That
games.
music crushed my game.
The music crashed my game.
But I tell you what, I watched their video clips.
Oh,
some of them.
yes.
From this album. I think with COVID, perhaps the production values were down a little bit.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I want to know, and I don't mean any offense or disrespect out there, I say with a slight wink, what the fuck is with this modern day headbanging, or are they just too old for it now?
I did like the Draco Malfoy for Olof, the guitarist, who's in another Swedish, or he's in a power metal band called Dragonland. They're very good. These guys, they're a bit out there.
They're very theatrical.
They are very theatrical.
But what's with that headbanging? That leaning forward, they're not headbanging, they're drying their hair.
It's just, well, because the Cairo bills.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
When you get older and smarter, you just back off on the whiplash.
But it just looks so middle-aged. It's like your parents headbanging. Like, Elise Ride is beautiful. I'm in love with her.
She's gorgeous.
Back off, pervert. No wonder you picked them.
Now, she's not the one I thought you would fall in love with, but there you go.
Excuse me. Like, now I've forgotten his name. Bob. Bob, someone said once in a comment, Ginger Rogers can do exactly what Fred Astaire does, but backwards and in heels. So why wouldn't I love what Elise Ride does? She's gorgeous. She's talented. And you know what? I actually watched an acoustic performance of hers from last year just to properly hear them sing. And it was her and Nils, I think. The unclean singer. Did I use that term right?
You did use that term right.
And Draco, obviously.
Hey. So Draco's the guitarist, yeah.
It's either Draco or Mork. Or the Volturi, but I didn't think you'd get a Twilight joke.
I did not get a Twilight joke.
Oh, well, that's a shame. Twilight is a joke.
Yeah, what a shame.
Team Harry Potter.
Yeah. But they're look, the reason I chose these guys for you is they're a little bit unique in they have 3 vocalists.
Yes. He's got a good voice too.
Yes.
I haven't looked into their older stuff, but Jake Lundberg or Jake
E. Yeah.
Jakey.
Yep.
I didn't look into, obviously, because you're giving me this particular album, and I read that it was their newest singer. But yeah, those two, they could do theatre.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that from the album, from the tape. I got it from the acoustic performance because I could actually hear them sing.
Yeah, okay.
And look, I didn't hate them. I've not really hated any of the bands you've given me. You're the only person who's hated anything so far. I'm just a bitch. I'm just going to be sassy because this is my sense of humor. I can't help it. But I still will find the positives in things. And the positives here that they are very, very talented.
Yes.
The singers very much so. Much better than the last band, which given me 3 bands in a row, starting with A.
That's not a conscious decision.
You're causing trouble there because I'm a moron and I nearly kept saying Avatar through that whole review. And then the last week I wanted to say the band before I can't even remember because I want to say Amaranthe.
Alien Weaponry.
Alien Weaponry,
yes.
That's right.
But I thought they were suitably dissimilar that you would not get stuck on them.
Yeah, but their video clips were a little bit similar across the board. But as I say, Alien Weaponry, their production values were highlighted even more by what I saw from Amaranthe.
Yeah, okay. I always thought look, they have a certain look about it. It's almost that
B grade.
Yeah, it's sort of it's a little bit medieval cosplay crossovery. Let's just do.
It was a little bit Goosebumps, the TV series, but like that 90s genre TV with those with the way the camera was. But even then, you could just tell when someone is using good quality equipment, and that's why I say though that those videos might have been affected by COVID.
Look, I think almost definitely because it's only just recently come out and the videos were all released this year. So
I don't blame them for that, but I do have some jokes. Believe it or not, I actually wrote some jokes. 6 of them. I was going to do a track by track, but I got through 6 of them, but I stopped.
Yeah, there's what is there 12 on there, I think. So. Yeah, I don't know if we need a joke for every track.
Well, you get 6 of them.
Okay.
Fearless.
Yes.
You'd have to be fearless to release a song like that. Make it better. I wish they would. Oh, actually, no, this isn't a joke, but Scream My Name, I could totally hear that at Eurovision.
Yes, I get that.
But when Viral started, I reached for the penicillin.
Oh.
Although, to be fair, it was a rather catchy song. As catchy as herpes, but still catchy. Adrenaline had me longing for a sedative.
Was that written or did you just ad-lib that one?
No, it was written. I just delivered it well.
Oh, okay. All right. You're right. Oh, finally.
Strong? Yeah, strong like an Olsen twin. But that was almost Delta Goodremy. I think Delta's got a nice voice, so. Also, I started watching some concerts of theirs, but poor quality of people's phones and home videos. I didn't get through much. I couldn't really hear much. But I think she's really, really talented and I'd love to work with her on something one day. Yeah, she's gorgeous and she's only like 6 months older than me, so she could totally marry me.
Yeah.
Not you, so
Well, no, she can't marry me.
Stick that in your pipe and smoke it.
I'm not.
No, you'd be the old sugar daddy. Gross.
I'm not that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not up for getting married, so we're putting a line through that.
No, well, yeah, and she's all mine then.
She's
back off. Yeah, she's lucky she's not a drummer because there's my weak spot.
Yes. Oh, maybe she can play the drums. One day we'll find out. But it's written in their kind of 3-minute, really radio-friendly songs. I know they're getting lots of...
I mentioned that, didn't I? Radio-friendly. I could hear that.
Yeah, and I actually said when I reviewed this album, and I said if I was a bit unkind to people who program FM radio music, and I said, if they had a clue, basically they would be playing the crap out of this band. But in Europe, yep, they're all over it, and they're getting a lot of play on FM rock radio, which so they should.
Well, she deserves a lot of play. I don't know about the boys, but sorry, fellas. It's all about the divas for me. As I say, Ginger Rogers backwards in heels.
Apparently, there's 5 other guys in the band, but let's talk about the ladies. So the unclean vocals of Hendrik, how did you tackle them?
Oh, every time I needed a soother. It's like a sympathetic pregnancy, I tell you. Listening to their acoustic versions, you can actually hear a song.
Right.
And I like interpretations anyways. I don't like it when the cover is exactly the same. I like, spice it up.
Yep.
And then this is one reason why I like Kelly Clarkson. I can hear your eyes rolling from here, but she does a lot of live performances where she'll change up her pop hits and maybe do an acoustic version and stuff like that. And I don't see that from a lot of the other singers out there that are still just lip syncing to their tracks, which, okay, they're dancing. That's why I like the artists that I do like. They show me that they've got that range and curiosity, and they've also got an artistic eye, an interpretive eye to their own stuff and not afraid to change things up. So yeah, I liked that, but not a fan of the screaming, the rah-rah-rahs.
Not a fan of the scream.
Hurts my throat.
Yeah, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of their vocal style, but I think it's used sparingly enough, and they're quite unique in the fact they've got 3 vocalists. I think they could just get away with 2. They could do Elias and Hendrik, and sorry, Nils, sorry mate, don't need you. But and that's that. But then 2 vocalists, well, they've got 3, so that's kind of their point of difference.
Yeah, and I sort of like that. It's like that. What band? B-52s, where you got like both Cindy and Kate, and you can hear the distinct difference between the 2 of them.
Yes.
Sort of like that. I like that. But obviously this time you can, because one guy's rah, 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 and the other guy's actually singing, and the other person singing is female. And I'll tell you what, she would have given the band an extra half a point and would have given them 2.5 if they didn't crash my game with their devil music.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Crashing the game with the devil music.
But look, I can see their talent. So, and that's most important, because if I was questioning how they've gotten to this point in their careers, then I would be worried.
Yeah,
because there are people out there that I question.
Oh yeah.
But anyways,
hello Eurovision.
Yeah, I'd like to see them at Eurovision. I might even vote for them. We haven't had good metal in a while there.
Haven't had good metal at all.
What did we have last year? We had Lordy one year.
Ouch.
Why?
Yeah, no. Oh, they were okay. I mean, had they not gone on Eurovision, they would have just faded to obscurity.
Well.
Oh, wait, they did.
That's not true, because the Hobbit movies came out a few years later, so they would have got a gig on that.
Yes, indeed.
But they'll forever go down in history as one of the. As one of the worst Eurovision acts. One of the best for being the worst, also. And that's why I watch it.
One of the best for being the worst. Yeah.
That's why I love all that sort of stuff. Crazy bands like this that maybe perform like they're middle aged, but look, I've got a bad back too. So I understand. Don't worry. We're the same age. So we're probably like, I had my punk days of being in slam pits.
See?
So I know what it's like.
You need to.
Like, and I suffer from it today, injuries and. But I also know that headbanging is done at the neck. You're not moving forward like you're drying your hair. So that was a little bit weird. So I was like, because I wanted to see her fully go at it. And any hunty who does a metal song in a cocktail dress and pumps or high heels, hello, yes, girlfriend. I'm only paying attention to her. Sorry. Sorry, boys, but cut your hair. Get a haircut. Maybe then I'll pay attention.
Then you have an excuse not to headbang. Don't get out of here, long hair.
Yeah, and sorry, Olaf. Every time I saw him, I couldn't help but think, my father's going to hear about this Potter. Couldn't help it.
Yes.
And I know, look, in the punk scene, we hated it. Oh my God, it's in the mainstream. Oh, they're sold out. And blah, blah, blah. And it's not as if people don't have bills to pay. So, people do need to kind of sell things and sell out eventually.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And a lot of the times when it's the same with musicals, the difference between last week and this week, 2 single act shows, 2 story driven songs, deep and meaningful there. And there's a bit of, like last week had a bit of a calypso and had some ballads in there. It had a little mix of genres, a little bit. Whereas this week it was very much, as you said, sort of very folky. But these things, they risk becoming very esoteric, very niche market. And it's the same with metal. It's also the same with punk, really anything out there. If there wasn't their rah-rah-rah-rah-rahs and that real heavy music, they could cross over because they've got good voices. And Pine and Sankoff need to hear this and need to do a sequel to Come From Away and call it Stand Back Away.
Well, I see what you did there. Yes, very good. I think they could, look, if anyone could do it, I think they could do it.
It would work. They could do it, yeah. And look, people have been stranded at airports, and I have a friend.
Oh, there's about 38,000 still stranded, I think. And they're just Australians.
Yeah, think about it. My friend Akash from Mauritius was stranded on the ocean for 5 months because the Mauritian government kept milking the cruise companies for all they were worth and kept getting more money.
Oh, yeah.
and promising to bring them home, but they wouldn't. And so the cruise ship crews from Mauritius were stuck. So all the other people, the captains and all that, they had to stay there for the Mauritian crew. Like stuff like that would make a great sequel or a follow-up, a spiritual sequel, I think anyways. People trapped at airports and all that. Like the Terminal was a movie. Anyways, so for next week, I thought I would pick a horror musical for you since the horrors of 9/11 weren't bad enough. That's an awful joke. I am going to hell.
That's terrible. And I don't think it was supposed to scare me, but anyway.
I mean, I don't think it's offensive, but then again, I'm the one who said it. So, but what I've picked something that actually has met the intersection between musical theater and metal and actually has been done in a metal version, apparently.
Yes.
But that is not your task. I'm not making it that easy for you. I'm actually making it a little bit harder for you because you've got a comparison to make this week, because this show was done originally with a full orchestra, maybe 22 instruments, and then it was revived with much less, something like 8 instruments, which the cast played on stage.
Okay, yeah. All right, I'm down with that.
So the original Broadway cast first with 22 or so instruments. And of course, we listened to these albums multiple times, so you can alternate with the 2005 revival, and you're going to get a very different sound across the two. And it's a little Sondheim musical called Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street.
Right.
It's very bloody. Angela Lansbury, Murder She Baked, and she is wonderful. She's absolutely brilliant. So the original Broadway, but also the 2005, 2006 Broadway revival, which, as I say, had 8, 9, 10 instruments. So it cut out a lot of them. It's a very different sound.
Okay.
It's a good comparison to make in terms of interpretation and hearing the music, just like I did with Amaranthe when I listened to the acoustic versions.
Right.
That's what inspired that choice this time around. So
okay,
it's the same musical, just a different sound. So lay it on me.
All right, so send me the links on that. Speaking of, I've stayed in Europe, and there's a little band, and they're not around anymore because they literally just split up. The band is called Lindemann, and Lindemann has Till Lindemann, who's the lead singer of Rammstein.
Oh, okay, I know them.
Yep.
Du hast mich. Du hast mich, du Franz. That's all I know.
And the other one is European producer extraordinaire Peter, and I always get his last name wrong because it's insanely hard to pronounce if you're, not Swedish, but I think it's pronounced Tautgren, and I'm going to go with that because that's what I normally say. And the band is called Lindemann, and the album is called FNN. ALINDEMANN. No, LIN. No, there's no A. Lindemann. And yeah, it's just a L. And the album's F&M, and it came out last year. So
why am I writing it down? You're going to send me the link anyways.
I'm going to send you the link anyway, and you're going to send me the Sweeney Todd. I'm going to tell you something about Sweeney Todd because I haven't seen the Angela Lansbury one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I saw who did the movie?
Tim Burton and Johnny Depp.
I saw the Tim Burton movie.
Oh, did you? Oh, I should have picked something else then.
No, that's okay because I saw the movie, and after that I always got a little bit nervous in the hairdresser's chair when they get the old straight razor out and shave the back of your neck, and I'm just sitting there going, I'm one slice away from ending up in a pie, with this lovely hairdresser who's just telling me about her boyfriend. But,
They cut heaps out of the movie anyway.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Christopher Lee was supposed to be with her, along with Anthony Stewart Head, Gillies from Buffy. So he pops up again.
Oh, he pops up
The
again.
two of them were meant to be balladeer ghosts.
Yeah.
But in the end, Anthony Stewart Head just had a cameo or something. He popped in and said, hi. There is actually a filmed version of this, a pro shot. So you can see Murder, She Baked in action. She's, as I say, deranged and brilliant in this part.
Murder, She Baked. Okay.
Yep.
I will, send me the link and I will look it up and yes. Oh, look, having said I've seen the movie, it was a long time ago and I don't remember much about it apart from I didn't want to die getting a haircut. And on that note, we should say goodbye for today. Auf Wiedersehen, and we'll come back with Sweeney Todd and Lindemann in the next episode 4.
Alrighty, looking forward to it,
me too.
I'm sure. Anyways, do we have anything to plug before we go?
We can plug the Twitters.
Yeah.
So we're Thrash and Treasure on the Twitters, and where we tweet about. Well, actually, you take the piss out of me
Occasionally.
occasionally. So if people follow that,
Occasionally.
the Thrash
It's
and
not personal. It's just
Thrash and Treasure on the Twitters. You will see if there's a bitchy tweet about me, it's usually Aaron. It's not me talking to
I'll
myself.
start marking what's written by me.
With an A.
AW.
A for Aaron or B for bitch?
AW. Yep, check out Get Popped on Culture, the Protestant Tales.
Yes, we will be back.
And anyways, that's it from us. You take care. Thanks for listening, and we shall see you next time. Hooroo!
Ciao.
Like quicksand!